Well, guys, we do have the next major mega project arena stadium in the United States opening this fall. And at this point here in mid-June, it's basically already done. Looking at some of the exterior aerial shots, it looks pretty much exactly like the renderings. It is the Intuit Dome. It is the most expensive arena in the history of the world that we know of. You can see it says exclusive new details of Clippers Intuit Dome arena revealed. And remember, when it comes to the Clippers, there's going to be a lot changing with them. They're redesigning their logo. It's going to be a completely different feel. You can see some of the updated photos. This is kind of the incorporation of the natural light concourse. This is the exact same thing Little Caesars Arena has in Detroit, Michigan. You can go out to the concourse and you can see you've got the natural light coming in, a lot of glass, a lot of panels right there. And it does look like that might be like an open aired area as well. So the concourses in NBA arenas do seem to be changing. This was kind of like the big update. All of the seats on the interior are basically done. You can see the tweet, a first look at what the wall looks like with seats. Overwhelming 4,500 seats. That's going to look amazing in person. And that looks exactly like a college arena. It's just like uninterrupted, one massive lower bowl of seats behind one of the baskets. It is certainly unique when it comes to any NBA arena. It's cool that they added this feature to a new arena. Normally, they're very bland, especially the interior of many of the arenas in the NBA. So to do something like that for a newer one is very cool. When it comes to the $2 billion price tag, it's mainly because it is in Inglewood. It's not like this is like a absurdly over-the-top arena. It's very nice, of course, whenever there is something new, like a new facility, whether it's any sport, they're going to want to make it look really good and last at least 30 to 40 years. So the main reason, though, is because it is in Inglewood. SoFi Stadium costs like $5.4 billion, and that's the most expensive stadium in history that we know of. Now, maybe there was something back, way back when if you adjusted for inflation, but you really can't confirm that. It is pretty crazy when you think of Inglewood, California. It's not like there's any sports team that's called Inglewood, but they've got two of the most expensive arenas and stadiums in history. And then you can see that that's an actual photo of what it looks like. I thought that was a rendering because it's like the exact same thing. They decided to add those solar panels to the roof, which is certainly understandable with it being in California, going to be getting a lot of sun. And certainly I'm sure the government looks fondly upon that, probably gives them tax breaks, let's be honest, but still, it looks pretty cool. And that is just a view of one of the side baskets. That's another thing they're going to be incorporating. You can see they've got natural light, and that's just kind of, I think, like a fan type thing where you want to go shoot hoops. In the renderings, they had a bunch of trees up there. I wonder if they'll be planting trees or not. But they did remove a lot of the trees from the initial renderings. I went over that in the last video I talked about when it comes to the Intuit Dome. There's a very nice view, so you can see the brand new Clippers logo. Yes, the logo does kind of look like a cruise line, if we're going to be honest. I liked their old logo better, but they want to do the rebrand. It seems like anytime a team gets a new logo, we always hate it because we're not used to it, and then we get used to it. But when it comes to this image, it's crazy. You look at the upper deck, it doesn't even look like an upper deck. And I think that's what they're trying to go for with these newer arenas. It almost looks like a middle section, but it's because of the amount of seating they have in the lower bowl. And another thing, this arena is going to be on the smaller side. The total capacity is only 18,000. There are a lot of arenas that have a capacity 1,000, 2,000, maybe even 3,000 more than this facility, but they're going with only 18,000. Everyone is close to the action. There's a bunch of suites. There's there's not a lot of standing areas. I guess you really don't need that when it comes to an arena, but there are teams that are doing renovations right now to remove a bunch of seats and kind of adding and incorporate those social spaces. There's not a ton of social spaces outside of all of the suites that the Intuit Dome has. It's just mainly that massive wall. And then they also do have the ring scoreboard going around the entire top of it, which is like the largest circle scoreboard in the NBA. And apparently those ring scoreboards are a lot better. Although I will say, they started the construction on it, and there were some photos that were taken when the ring scoreboard was already up from the upper deck, and it is just a crazy big thing. Like, you can barely see the entire court, and then there's the scoreboard that's like 2 times the size of the court. When you look at from the perspective of like the upper deck, it's kind of annoying, But the ring scoreboards are definitely very cool. SoFi Stadium also has a kind of like an oval type scoreboard because obviously football fields, there's going to be a different like shape to the scoreboard going around the entire stadium. And there are just some more photos of it. In the initial renderings, there was kind of like a side building that was attached. I believe that still has to be built or it's being built. Oh, you know what? That might just be a parking garage. I think that might just be a parking garage. It's interesting because a lot of these newer arenas are not really, we haven't seen any renderings of it, but a lot of them want to incorporate other buildings connected to the arena, whether it's a residential building with the 76ers trying that. We've heard the Dallas Mavericks, there was a new story of their new ownership possibly looking at a new arena. Mark Cuban was looking at a new arena before he sold the Mavericks. He still is involved with them and like runs them, but he doesn't own them technically. They're talking about building a casino attached to their arena. And then you also have the Las Vegas project, which would be an NBA campus on the Strip in Las Vegas. Very likely that a casino and or hotel would be attached to the arena. It would be a mega hub and you could go to the casino and without going outside, you could go right to the arena or to the hotel, and it's all connected, which I think is a very cool thing if a team actually did that and perfected it, although it would have to be in a bigger city to where the demand would meet it with the hotel and a casino and things like that. It could certainly be done in Dallas, it could be done in Las Vegas, it could be done in LA, but it's not going to be happening there. Obviously, they have Crypto.com Arena, and that's not going to be going anywhere. But I do think that is just a parking garage now that I look at it. It's just a weird design. There's another photo of the interior. You can see the massive lower bowl. Look at all those tunnels on the lower bowl. That is something you never would have seen. Look at that wall to the right. It's crazy how it's like an uninterrupted wall of seats, especially for an NBA team. We're just not used to that. And then you can see where the suites are. Very interesting design just because the lower bowl is so large. They have to put the tunnels where the concourse tunnels like in the middle of the lower bowl, which is normally they're just at the top. So it's interesting how they had to do that because of how large the lower bowl is. And then there is just a photo of it looks like an eatery or something, and they've got nice little basketballs right there to where you enter it. I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, so those are just the main photos. There's some more photos. It looks like it's practically done at this point. I believe it's opening in late August where they're going to have their first event. It might be a concert or something like that. And the preseason NBA games will be starting in October. And then, of course, the NBA season. I'm not exactly sure when it will start, but normally it starts right around Halloween. I'm surprised the NBA doesn't try and do that like a big thing, like have opening night on Halloween. They never really do that. Normally it's like, the week before Halloween or somewhere around there when they open the season. But that is the update on the Intuit Dome. Should immediately become one of the best arenas in the NBA, obviously considering the cost and considering it is brand new. And then just something else I wanted to discuss. I thought this was kind of interesting. Ranking NBA arena safety. So this really has nothing to do about the arena itself. It's where it's located. You can see Memphis apparently extremely unsafe in terms of that city. I don't even know what the total score means, but it only got a 24 in terms of safety. New Orleans, that's a team I've been thinking maybe they might relocate, maybe they might get a new arena. It's kind of weird considering that arena is right next to the Superdome. I guess they consider that area unsafe. Philadelphia, they're talking about getting a new arena. Orlando, that's kind of surprising to me. Golden State, they just got a new arena. Atlanta, Cleveland, Washington, they're trying to get a renovation at Capital One Arena, and then you do have Indiana and Portland. Not really that important. I just thought it was interesting. Memphis and New Orleans, the two worst in terms of safety around the stadium, and they kind of base that off of crime rates and things like that, obviously. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.